Hey everyone, this is Friedel Hakureja Rave, and I'm here with my recap and review of Animal Kingdom Season number 6, Episode number 8, which is titled Revelation. And yeah, certain truths came out, and of course, I'm really looking forward to seeing what's going to happen in the remaining episodes because things aren't looking good for Andrew and the Cody family. And also, full disclosure, I was provided with an advanced screener for this episode for free for review. This isn't like a paid review or whatnot, and the opinions that I've shared are my own. So coming back to the episode, because in the previous installment, Andrew realized that someone had been in his house after he noticed that conflict box being put the wrong way. Considering how he's very organized about things. So Andrew goes over the home security footage, and then he goes over the time frames, and he notices that during this particular time frame, the footage has been lost. So someone was indeed inside the house, and of course he needs to figure out who it is, and he has his suspicions. So moving forward, not forward per se, forward in the episode, but back in the timeline, we're getting a flashback. So a young Smurf is talking to this guy, and she has these cables that she wants to steal and sell. And because technology is advancing in that particular time period, cables are selling for a lot of money. I think it's like optic cable or fiber cable. I can't really remember correctly. So the guy is like, really, you're going to sell me a lot of cable, huh? Do you really know, do you even realize how the security around that place? And Smurf is like, yeah, I know the security, I can handle it. You just need to say yes, and I'll get the cables for you. And while that's happening, Andrew is basically doing these bench presses outside with Baz motivating him to keep on going, and we can see Andrew's body shake because he's getting underneath all of the weight, and he's getting weaker. And Julia wants Baz to help him and make Andrew stop, but Andrew, he's not someone who's into stopping when he's doing something. So he does another bench press, and yeah, he's victorious. And Baz is like, see, Julia, I told you Andrew had one in him. So Julia walks towards Baz, and as Andrew is basically catching his breath, Julia and Baz are basically flirting behind him, and Julia is touching his body and everything, and Andrew doesn't realize what the two are doing behind him. And this is where Baz is like, okay, Baz, Andrew, do you think that we should get Julia on the bench press next? And this is where Andrew is like, no, she's a girl. Girls do aerobics. And Julia's like, you're such a Neanderthal and whatnot. So yeah, it's the banter. It's just banter that felt natural considering the time period and the dynamic between these three. So Smurf is like, okay, people, we have the job. The guy said yes, so we're going to go ahead and steal some cables. So we cut to Craig and Deran, especially after what Craig and Deran went through in the previous episode with Renn and Nick, with Renn getting hurt and Nick being kidnapped. Of course, Craig still needs a whole lot. He still needs a whole lot of time to basically deal with everything that he's gone through. It's basically it was a very, very traumatic experience, and the good news is that things have seemed to have mended between these two brothers. And Deran is like, okay, Craig, you still need time. Why don't you go home and relax? Don't worry about me. I'm just worried about you. So go home. Go be with Renn. Go be with Nick. And Craig is like, okay, I'll do that. So Tommy walks in, and Tommy's like, hey, Deran, can I talk to you about something? And Deran's like, okay, what's up, Tommy? And Tommy's like, I have a job. So this cousin of his, he knows about this dentist. He's not a very particularly successful dentist, but he still has money because apparently he's into collecting these silver coins, and each coin is like a few $100s. So Tommy's like, it's going to be easy. He has the coins in his dentist office, so we just need to break in during this particular time where he won't be in there and take the coins and just go, right? You'll do this with me, Deran, won't you? And Deran is like, I'm not really sure, Tommy. I'm not really sure. And I'm like, Deran, who are we kidding? You are so going to do this. So we cut to Joshua, and Joshua is talking to this guy from the army. So apparently Joshua ended up paying this guy to spill some tea on Penny's husband. And he's like, no, there's no tea to spill because Penny's husband, no one has a problem with him. No one really notices him. He's basically very bland. And he's like, okay, so why are you so interested in this guy, huh? Joshua doesn't answer. He just pays the guy. The guy is like, okay, so one more thing. So apparently the guy is coming back. So yeah, do with this information what you want. So yeah, Penny's husband is coming back. So Craig goes to meet with Renn, and Renn is readying Nick because they want to go to the park because he likes the park. And Craig ends up helping with getting Nick dressed up and everything. And this is where Renn is like, Craig, would you like to come with us to the park? And Craig is like, yeah, I would like that. I would like that. So Darren ends up changing his mind. He's like, okay, Tommy, tell me about the job. We'll do this. And Tommy's like, really? Seriously, dude? We're going to do this? And Darren is like, yeah, we're doing this. But we need Joshua, okay? We need more people for this job. And Tommy's like, okay, so have a gun. And Darren's like, no. If we get caught, the weapon is going to be tracked back to us. So we'll just go in. And if you say and if you are already saying that this is a very easy job, we won't necessarily need weapons. So get ready, but I need to talk to Joshua about this. And then we cut to Detective Thompson, and she's going over Andrew's files and all of the evidence she has. And yeah, she is still very, very determined to put Andrew behind bars. And I'm not really sure if it's just me, but I think that the writers need to basically explain why she's doing all of this to get to Andrew. Like, is this personal? Was she related to Catherine? Like, what's going on? Does she want to handle the Andrew case because her own track record is very, very bad or something? Like, I think that the writers should give us more of a motivation behind why Detective Thompson is doing all of this. So Andrew, because he has his suspicions, and he ended up letting Taylor stay at his house. He of course goes to Taylor, and he's like, "Okay, Taylor, so I met your mom yesterday, and I guess you're back now. She was searching for you." And he's like, "Yeah, she's like that. And Andrew's like, And yeah, Andrew basically ends up attacking Taylor, and he threatens him, and he's like, "Okay, I'm going to keep on beating you up. Tell me who that woman is. What's happening? Someone broke into our house. Was it you?" And this is where, of course, Taylor tells him the truth that he's been working as a snitch for a cop and he can't get rid of the cop, and she's not like other cops because she doesn't do things by the book and whatnot. And Radio's like, okay, you know what? I'm going to handle the cop lady. So Joshua comes in, and Darren tells Joshua about Tommy's job, and Joshua is like, "Tommy, can you excuse us for a bit?" And Tommy walks away, and this is where Joshua is like, really? We just walked away after stealing like what, $300,000 in jewelry, and now you want to hit a dentist office for some silver coins? What's wrong with you, Darren? And also you do and you're trusting Tommy, and Darren's like, hey, Joshua, we need to do this, okay? Smurf was successful in Oceanside because she had a very, very large network of people she trusted, and we need to start building our own network, okay? And we're going to start small with Tommy, and then we'll expand that. And Tommy is someone that I really, really trust, and this job sounds like fun. Aren't you into having a bit of fun, Joshua? And Joshua's like, okay, let's do this. And Darren's point about Smurf having a network, I'm like, okay, Darren, okay, he understands how the business is supposed to work, but then again, the season is coming to an end. I need Darren to run away and be with Adrian. So we get a flashback, and the kids are playing cards, and Smurf walks in, and Smurf is like, "Hey, Andrew, I need your help in the garage, please. Can you come with me?" And Andrew's like, "Really? You want my help?" And she's like, "Yeah, you have a steady hand, baby. So let's go." And this is also, and of course she wants Andrew's help to make these bullets, untraceable bullets, but she's also basically giving an excuse to Julia and Bass to be alone, because she knows that when these two are alone, they're going to hook up, and she's just waiting for Andrew to find out, which he does. So in order to keep Nick and Renn safe and also feel safe himself, he ends up taking Renn and Nick to his own, Craig. Craig ends up taking Renn and Nick to his house, and yeah, Renn is still on edge, but Craig calms her down, and they hook up, and I'm like, okay, do it, I guess. So this is where Smurf is explaining to Andrew why they need to make these untraceable bullets, because of course the police can't trace them back to them. And Smurf is like, you need to look out for your family, Andrew. You need to protect your family and whatnot. And Andrew's like, okay, I get that you're teaching me this stuff, but Bass promised that when I'm done, we'll go catch a movie, and I really want to go watch a movie. So I'm not really, I don't want to make 100 of these. And Julia and Janine is like, okay, how about 50, huh? And Andrew's like, okay. But of course, Janine loves her boy, and she also wants him to find out what Baz and Julia are doing. So she's like, you know what, Andrew, you can go now. And of course, Andrew goes. He goes into the house. He's searching for Julia and Baz, and he ends up finding Julia and Baz in a room where Julia is basically going down on Baz, and Andrew's like, what the heck? And Julia and Baz notice Andrew, and Julia runs after him. Even though Baz keeps on telling Julia that he'll be all right, and Julia's like, no, you don't understand Andrew. So she goes after Andrew. She wants Andrew to stop. Janine comes out of the garage, and she's like, what the heck just happened? And Andrew falls to the floor. He's basically throwing up after what he saw, and yeah, he just storms away from the house. And yeah, Janine is like, okay, it finally happened. So Julia wants to go after Andrew because he's her twin brother, and Baz is like, "Hey, you're babying him. He's an adult. He can deal with this on his own. We did nothing wrong and whatnot." And you know what? Okay, Julia, if you're going after Andrew, I'll go with you. And Julia's like, "No, I'll go search for him. He's my brother. He's not yours." And she storms out of the house. So coming to Andrew's plan to get to Detective Thompson, he goes out and reaches out to this guy. I don't remember his name, but I do remember his face. And he's like, "Okay, I need your help." And he's like, "Okay, what are we going to do?" He's like, "Okay, I want you to track this woman for me. Are you in?" And of course, the guy is like, "Okay, I'm in," as if he has a choice in the matter. So after hooking up, Craig notices Renn going to the bathroom. He follows, and yeah, Renn is doing drugs, and Craig is like, "Really?" And Renn is like, hey, it's helping me calm down after what we've been through. Do you want some? And Craig is like, "Yeah, I'll take some." And he ends up taking drugs again, and I'm like, "Craig, really? So yeah, these two hook up. And then we cut to Joshua, Deran, and Tommy outside the dentist clinic, and Tommy is about to go out, and Deran's like, "Wait, are you planning to leave all your fingerprints in the clinic? Wear some gloves." And I'm like, okay. So now he remembers wearing gloves, huh? Why wasn't he wearing gloves when he was basically switching out Eddie's jewelry at the party, huh? But anyway, they wear gloves to break into the clinic, and they end up finding the silver coins. Like, Joshua finds them in the box, and he's like, "Okay, so these are the silver coins, huh?" And it's time for them to go, but Tommy's like, "No. I saw this box. The silver coins are in this box." And Joshua's like, "No, they aren't. The silver coins are with me." And of course, Tommy is like, I'm telling you, there's something inside this box. And here I was like, wait, is Tommy playing Deran and Joshua? Did his cousin ask Tommy to steal something else from the clinic? Like, what's happening here? So as they're arguing about leaving the clinic, this is where a guy comes in, and he notices that the clinic is being broken into, and Deran and Joshua are like, "Tommy, run. But before Tommy runs away, he ends up breaking the glass of one of the cabinets with his foot. He reaches out for the box. He gets injured. He gets attacked by the other guy. And Joshua comes in to help him by smacking the guy with an oxygen tank. And yeah, Tommy is injured, but they are able to run away. So we cut to Craig and Renn, and they're at Craig's house, and they're of course high, they're drunk, they have these other people in the house as well, and they're playing this slap game, and this guy ends up slapping Craig in order to knock him out, but of course Craig doesn't get knocked out, and now it's Craig's turn, and he ends up knocking down the guy and winning a lot of money. And I'm like, this is a destructive path, Craig. This is a destructive path. So Andrew's plan also involves Taylor. So the plan is that Taylor is going to reach out to Detective Thompson because he wants to meet with her. And while he keeps Detective Thompson distracted, Andrew is going to go under her car, and he's going to basically use the wrench to make the car leak all of the transmission fuel. So it's kind of an intense moment because the thing isn't going according to plan, basically, because Taylor wanted Detective Thompson to take him inside a restaurant or whatnot, and she's like, "No, we're going to stay, you're going to get into the car and we're going to talk right here." Taylor asks for money, and as these two are talking, you can actually hear Andrew working underneath the car, and she notices it, and I'm like, maybe she suspects something's happening. Who knows? And this is where Taylor continues to distract her by saying that, "You know what if I go to your boss, huh? What if I tell him what you've been up to?" And she's like, "Oh, so you're really blackmailing me, even though I'm the reason that you're still aren't in jail, huh?" So anyway, Andrew is able to do what he needed to do, and it's done. So we got to Deran and Joshua taking Tommy home, and Tommy, of course, is bleeding from the leg, and he needs stitches, but they can't take him to the hospital. And Tommy is like, "So what are we going to do now?" And Joshua's like, "Hey, don't worry, we're going to..." And also, Tommy is worried about the blood that he left at the place, and Deran's like, you haven't been arrested before, right?" And Tommy's like, "No, never." So they're like, "Okay, so then that's okay. They don't have your blood in the database." So Joshua ends up taking out the staplers. And Joshua's like, okay, so Tommy, I'm going to use the staplers on you. It's going to be very painful, but the pain is going to help you remember not to mess up again. And Tommy's like, okay, let's do this. And also from what I remember, the box that Tommy ended up stealing, they had these dentures in them. They are expensive, but it wasn't the coins. It wasn't the coins. And Joshua's like, okay, so the next time that experienced thieves like us tell you to run away or leave something, you listen to us. Tommy's like, okay, I got it. So now that Julia and Andrew are out of the house, this is where Smurf ends up confronting Baz, and she's like, I built a family and you ruined it by hooking up with Julia, who's your sister. And Baz is like, no, she's not my sister, Smurf. She's not my sister. And Smurf is like, really? She isn't? Even if you don't think that she's your sister, we are family in this house. So she is your sister, Baz. And Baz is like, okay, if that's the case, then I'll move out. And Smurf is like, oh, baby, you do realize that you're way too old for the orphanage, huh? And I'm like, ooh. I mean, she is angry at Baz because Baz and Julia ended up messing up the dynamics she had created in her family. And one thing we know about Smurf is that she likes being in control. So it turns out that because of the car losing transmission fluid, Detective Thompson's car stops, and we have Andrew's guy tailing her, and he's like, hey, I'm a mechanic, I can help you, or I can take your car to my nearby shop, and I can also drive you to your house or wherever you're staying if you tell me where you are. And if you aren't into these options, then you know what, you can call another truck. And of course Detective Thompson wants her car to be repaired, so she accepts his offer, and I'm like, okay. So Andrew's plan is working. So we cut to Craig and Renn. They're still high, they're outside to buy something, and Renn is in the back of the car, and I'm like, this is bad. So Craig is like, okay, so go into the shop, get me some jerky, get me some drinks and whatnot. And Renn is like, yeah, I can do that. But instead of paying, Renn ends up stealing the lottery tickets, and she's like, drive the car, go. And of course, Craig needs to drive away while the shopkeeper is attacking them, and poor Nick at the back of the car. I'm like, why are you putting the baby through this? Why are you? So we have this very, very well-written scene, in my opinion, where Detective Thompson has just finished having a bath, and she is ready to go out with a towel around her. And I'm like, okay, so she's the type of person. She's the type of person who wears a towel even when she's alone, which is a good thing. So she walks out, and Andrew is sitting there waiting for her with her gun that she hid with him, and he's like, I have your gun, so what I need you to do is I need you to sit down. And of course, she sits down, and I'm like, really? Is Andrew going to kill her or something? She is a cop, so I highly doubt that Andrew is going to beat her up, right? Or something. And yeah, but Andrew is angry because she broke into his house, his family's house. She put him and his family at risk, and he doesn't like that. And he's like, you cops, you guys are insects, you guys are like parasites and whatnot, leeching off of other people. And what do you want, detective? What do you want? Money? How much money do you want? And she's like, oh, no, you have this wrong. I don't need your money, Andrew. I don't need it. I just want to see you behind bars. And again, I really thought that the writers were going to explain why Detective Thompson is so determined to put Andrew behind bars. Like, did he wrong her family in some manner? But yeah, I really like the fact that the way this entire scene played out, I really liked that. I really like seeing that she wasn't intimidated by Andrew, even though he broke into her room, and she was in a very vulnerable state without any clothes, without any weapons. But she kept her cool, and she's like, what are you going to do, Andrew? My department knows that I have been working on your case. All of the files have been forwarded to them. And if you threaten me or if you hurt me, then everything is going to point to you. They will be coming for you. And what are you going to do, Andrew? Are you going to kill me? Are you going to kill me like you kill Cat? And this is where Andrew realizes that, yep, she knows. And Andrew is unable to do anything, and he walks away. And I'm like, okay, Detective Thompson. Okay, work, girl, work. So Julia comes back home, Smurf is there, and Julia's like, okay, so I couldn't find Andrew anymore, even though I checked all of his usual hangout places. And Smurf is like, don't worry about it, Julia. Andrew is home, he's sleeping in his bed. And Julia's like, okay, just as Baz said, huh? And Julia's like, oh, talking about Baz, even though Andrew is back, I'm not really sure if Baz will be back. And she's like, what the heck are you talking about, Smurf? And Smurf is like, yeah, Baz just walked away. He left home for some reason. And this is where Julia ends up giving. This is where Smurf ends up giving Julia a speech about does she even remember how hard they had it when they were kids, and that Smurf ended up working very, very hard to give them the comforts that they enjoy and whatnot, and Julia ended up messing all of that up by hooking up with Baz, and Julia's like, no, you don't get to explain, you don't get to blame this on me. Also, what Baz and I have, it's different. It's not just about hooking up. He loves me, he really does. And Smurf is like, loves you? Really? The fact that you think that you can get a teenage boy hard, you think that you're a woman now? Oh, Julia, you have no idea how teenage boys function. So basically she's telling Julia to realize that no, whatever she has with Baz, it's for fun and it's not love, and just because of satisfying their sexual desire, their lust, they ended up ruining everything that Smurf built, and Smurf isn't happy about that. And she's like, you are still a little girl, Julia, you're still a little girl. So we cut to Craig. He's in a very strange house. We have this woman, I think her name is Ginger, so they have been high. So he wakes up, Nick is there, thankfully, and he's like, okay, so have you seen Renn? And she's like, yeah, Renn is out running errands and Nick needs to be changed. And he's like, do you have diapers, wipes, anything? And Ginger's like, hey, it's your baby, okay? I don't have these things in my house. And Craig basically picks Nick up, and this is where he realizes that yep, he messed up. He shouldn't be putting Nick through all of this, and hopefully he'll set things straight. So the episode basically ends with Joshua and Deran. They're feeling happy after the job they pulled, and that they'll be able to get a good amount of money by selling the coins, and they're drinking a lot of beers. So Andrew walks in, and Andrea's like, guys, I'm in trouble. And they're like, what kind of trouble? What's happening? And he ends up telling them that a detective broke into the house, a detective had been tailing him, and that the detective knows. And Joshua and Darren's like, what does she know, Andrew? What does she know? And this is where Andrew reveals that the detective knows that he was the one who murdered Kat and that he did it for Smurf. And Joshua and Deran are, of course, shocked because, yeah, if the detective has a lot of proof against Andrew, then she'll be coming for the entire family, and they don't want that. And I'm like, okay. The fact that Andrew told the truth in front of Joshua, I think that Joshua is going to do something to distance himself away from Andrew, because as far as Joshua is concerned, he doesn't care about his uncles. He doesn't. He only cares about himself. And if protecting himself means that he needs to get rid of Andrew, I think that Joshua might do that. He is a murderer already, but let's see what happens. If I end up doing a written review of this for the Geekery, the link to my review will be down in the comment section below. Let me know what you thought of the episode, and yeah, of course, I'm interested in seeing what's going to happen next, because now Andrew knows that the detective is after her, and he can't really necessarily run away from the country, or maybe he'll try. Let's see. But yeah, let me know what you thought. Until next time, stay happy, stay safe, stay blessed. See you guys later. Bye.